do we make a connection on why we see the goon industry growing? Why? Because we've established that there is high unemployment in the country that is having the goons pretty much available on hire, where we see now the political class taking advantage of the goons, Kenyans who are unemployed to be goons. But do we make the connection that today we have unemployment because corruption is high? Do you make the connection that today we are having a lot of unemployed people because of policies that have been set forth as government? That today we will talk about everything, but until that point when we handle the fundamentals, when we promised 1 million jobs, we provide those 1 million jobs, we fight corruption and ensure that the money that is meant to go to hospitals, to go to industries, to put in good policies that will enable investors, both local and external, to come and invest, that until the point when we remove these unemployed people and get them busy, we would not be fighting goon. That the biggest problem perhaps is us dealing with our corruption, is us opening up the markets, is us paying the pending bills and ensuring that the young people who don't have jobs have something they are doing. Are we making that connection?
Thank you. Let me tell you this. The war that we are going to have and the future that we are going to have, it will be a fight between the young and the old folks. Because this is a structural, deliberate plan or strategy by the political elite. Why I'm saying this, for example, and I'll give you several examples. First of all, let me base it on the Constitution. Our forefathers, as they set up the country, they put several mechanisms that helped us to be what we are today. But then in 2010, we felt we wanted to change to adjust to the century and the challenges that we are facing. Unemployment today. We are talking about the youth population. Over 60% of Kenyans are actually below the age of 35. We are churning out over 1 million youth graduates every year, but we are not creating corresponding jobs for them. This is a structural problem created by the leadership of the country, from the executive, parliament, and judiciary. Why? We have not implemented the Constitution to the latter. I believe that if the president could implement the Constitution to the latter, devolve the functions, go out and bring investors for each county, allow counties to spur the economy. You remember Moses Kuria's nonsense of those special zones and those whatever he was creating, so that we bring in investors. You've seen what is happening in South Africa. These Kenyans have come back empty. That is another burden we are adding to the current one we are also already facing. So the whole thing lies with our structures in terms of creating opportunities. Look at our tax regime. It's unpredictable. Look at our economy. It's unpredictable because 97, 202, then 2005, 207, 2013, all this unpredictable in terms of investment. The demonstrations we are having every other day, because the leadership is not doing the right thing, speaks to the fact that you cannot invest in Kenya. The tax regime, which is unpredictable, tells you that here there's a challenge, and that's why we are losing a number of investors to different countries in our neighborhood. The other issue, when you talk about unemployment, for example, the president will boast of housing creating employment. Let me ask, was housing a national priority? Look at the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, KHDS report, that over 70% of Kenyans own bungalows in the villages. Was it a national priority? No. These are concerns, and you're telling me that the jobs you're creating will be manual jobs. You remember the scholarship we were promised in Nyayo Stadium?
Yeah.
How many of us have graduated from those ones and now doing all that? Go to industry area today, it's actually closed. There are go-downs. We are only importing everything from China. It's a structural problem because we elect the wrong people. They don't legislate. Look at the private members' bill in the House today. It is not there because these are houses dominated by the hand of the executive. When we talk about corruption, all the big projects that this current regime has implemented have got questionable expenditure, from Talanda Stadium to Bomas of Kenya. Now with the airport in Meru, why is it really a national priority? Do we need to have all state lodges across the country? Will this create jobs for the youth? That is why the very youth that are being hired today in the name of goons, we rise up against the very government that is actually misusing them. A time when youth will now say enough is enough. Because of the structural problems we have, the youth will rise up against the leadership. It is my appeal. Let us implement the constitution to the latter. If we did, for example, today, Turkana County could be the best. Do you know they have given the highest amount in terms of equalization fund? Is there anything you can show in Turkana apart from that function they normally do? There's nothing to show. So these are concerns, for example. Today, where the coolants that we actually promised about milk in Nyandarua, about exporting our potatoes, about value addition. What about Lamu Port? We have spent a lot of money. What about the Isiolo Airport? What are we really doing? There's nothing going on because the center is amassing all the energy to control at the expense of allowing all the other functions to go. And let me tell you this. We are always cascading the governors when they come before the Senate. Ask them very stupid questions about expenditure. What do they want to do in terms of the income they actually raise? When you're holding all the national money at the center, why are we keeping all this money? Look at the universities. Why are universities struggling today? Because of the funding model. What happens to the youth? The danger is we have all these graduates moving around with the best education in the streets, and we think we are going to remain in power. I can tell you, my brother, we are staring at a big problem even before 2027.